again, they are tools in this trade. They're to keep our animals safe, and they are an insurance policy. So pick the dog that's right for you. Ask the questions that are important on what will fit your program. Ask the breeder, what's this puppy's personality like? And it's super, super important to pick what is right for you. This is a perfect example of handling your puppies. You can see he is not stressed out, and I can hold him and mess with him, and he does not care one bit. So there's Chief. They are not machines. I cannot stress that enough. When they call me and they're telling me about their dog and things like that, they are not machines. They are still dogs. They're just like when you're at work, working with people. Some people you just don't like, and then some people you love and you want to spend every day with. So the same thing goes for them, and we respect that. I mean, if I need them to work together, they'll usually work together. It's so hard to talk about it. You know, some people are die hard on one breed or not. It's an individual dog thing. It really is. You really need to talk to a breeder, talk to who has their dogs, ask how they're running them, ask the vices, what things you've noticed in the mom and dad, because a lot of things are genetic. Of course, there's environmental factors on how the dogs are raised. And the food thing, there is a hierarchy. I get to eat first, you get to eat second. And that also needs to be talked about with your breeders and things like that you buy your puppies from. Ask how those parents are around food. Ask how they are in the pack mentality and things like that. Because if you have a very dominant adult dog and then you buy a very dominant puppy, you can have some really bad fights. And that's what I'm expecting of you. Do your job, keep your goats safe and your sheep. And that's all I can ask. Don't get out. Stay in the pasture I put you in and play with each other. Do not play with the stock. That is really my expectations, because they are going to do their job. They are going to bark, and that is their biggest deterrent. They're gonna go pee on the fence lines and poop and do all these things to keep predators away. If it comes down to it, I expect you to eliminate threats if necessary. This here is Bonnie. She has been one of our main producers. So she is Anatolian for the most part. Probably does have a little bit of Pyrenees in her with this longer coat, but you can see the black mask and the tan across her body. She has the sweetest demeanor, as you can see. She is a little more licky than I like, but with Bonnie we let it slide. She created some of the best puppies we could have asked for. So here's Bonnie. Nellie! We have another dog in here named Nellie, which would be her daughter. Nellie! Puppy, puppy, puppy! It's hot. They're hiding out in brush piles right now. So Bonnie here, she is an Anatolian cross. Before we got the Crocketchins, we were running a lot of crosses and a lot of Anatolian and Pyreneeses. We've had, you know, good luck with some, bad luck with others. I was saying earlier how, you know, they aren't machines. You know, some dogs get out, some dogs dig, some chase stock, some do stuff that they're not supposed to, and you know, some people go by and throw them in a pasture and leave them there, and that's the end of it. In our case, that's not what we do. We're very hands-on. All of our adult dogs walk on a leash. All our adult dogs can ride in a car if necessary. They may not like it, but they can. So we're very hands-on. I can grab all my dog's feet. I can pick up every single one of my dogs, and so that's really important to us. And they come when called 80% of the time. You know, if we let them in a new pasture, we don't necessarily think they're going to come back immediately, like if I were walking a pasture that they've already established. We work on that a lot when they're little. We do a lot of hands-on stuff. They get to know us as well as their stock. They're born with the stock. We raise them with goats and sheep. They have access to horses on the fence line, cows. They have access to llamas. They see our other dogs, the border collies. They learn to ignore the border collies. They might come up to them at first, but I can go, and they'll stop, and they'll kind of go apart their separate ways. We don't let the dogs kind of interact as much between the border collies and my Jack Russells. I have little dogs, and you know, Jack Russells think they're big dogs, and it could take one bite from these guys and kills my dog. So even though I'm 99% sure none of my dogs would hurt my Jack Russells, I still tell them no, we're not going to do any saying hi, there's no playing. That's just what we do here. There's plenty of people that allow their farm dogs to integrate with their guard dogs. And there's a difference between a farm dog and a guard dog. So farm dogs are general purpose. They'll stay over the entire farm and entirety. Guard dogs, to me, and what I would explain it as, is they stay with the stock solely and they take care of their flock or herd. So all of these, the bigger dogs that we have that are Anatolians, Pyrenees, we've had Akbash, we've had some Marimas, and we have the Caracacheans. We've tried different ones. The Akbash for me were a little too shy from where I had got them from. Bit too shy. Got them over that, but it took a while, a lot of working with them. The Anatolians, they are a little stubborn, can be a little more aggressive as well. I've had a Pyrenees be too aggressive, but I've had a little wandering issue before on younger dogs. Of course, we did not allow those to breed. Some went different ways. We found homes that would fit their style and things like that. But we've washed dogs, we've kept dogs, we've sold adult dogs. So the biggest thing for us, you know, is about at a year old, we expect you to do your job, not really have much input from me. And that first year of life, I put a lot of time, a lot of energy in my dogs. Of course, I go see them, I pet on them, we do stuff together, they walk with me around perimeters when I'm doing goat checks, they come, they're excited to see me, and they definitely know what no is. I could make Bonnie go away just with a simple ant if I'm directed it at her. They know what get means, and so that helps us a lot with gates, that helps us a lot if they're doing something that I'm not particularly liking, and so when they're little, I instill that from a very young age that, you know, I'm up here, the goats are here, and they're there. Of course, I will allow my dogs to tell my goats no when it comes to feeding. I have a couple goats that do like dog food. We use jump gates to kind of deter them, but every now and then they kind of figure the jump gate out. And so the dogs are allowed to tell the goats no, as long as it's not too extensive. You know, you can growl, give a little snap, things like that, but I do not want you hurting them or making them bleed. Bonnie here does that. She will tell a goat no any day of the week when it comes to her food, and she does it exceptionally well. She'll growl very deeply at them, and then if she has to, she'll body push them or give them like a punch with her teeth. She doesn't clamp, she just hits. And so I allow her to do that. Well, that's fine by me, because I can't have my goats walking all over my dogs. A lot of people want the goats up here and the dogs way down here, but that just doesn't work that way. They need to kind of give and take. Of course, the dogs love their goats, but, you know, just like even in your family, you love your family, but sometimes no means no. And so I don't want my goats to beat on my dogs. If I have a goat that's being super mean, I make sure not to put them in a small setting where they're just going to beat on the dog and the dog goes into a fight response. That can ruin a good dog if you allow a goat to whoop on a dog too much. So, you good, girl? And so that's something important to us. We do have a couple goats that I would not pin up with a dog unless the dog needed to come to Jesus necessarily. Yeah, so really just it takes some training. You can throw a dog out into a field and kind of let things take their course. You can have some stock loss from it because they stress the stock, or they chase them, or they kill them, and all these things, and it's just not worth it for us. You know, we take pride in our goats and our dogs especially, and so I try and put that time in and that effort in. I've raised dogs for people. My style may not match everyone else's style. I like the longer coated dogs. It's what I kind of produce more of. I think they're prettier, and for me, I really like seeing pretty animals out in my field, so I pick what I like. And some people will pass on our dogs just simply because they're longer coated, like the Caracacheans. I like a dog that does not get out. Of course, everyone does, but you know, you have onesies and twosies that every now and then, if fence goes down or you leave a hot fence off, they might get out. And so being able to be caught is a huge deal for me. I don't want to chase you across the countryside. And so those are some factors for me with my guard dogs. I love all of them. I really like the Caracacheans, getting into them. I've had them for a minute now, with Beth being our first one. We've raised her since puppyhood. And the other two we got as adults. So there's things about the two adults that we bought that I don't necessarily love, but it's not a deal breaker. And we've worked on a lot of things in that first 6 months of owning them that changed them. Bonnie. So, but Bonnie here, she definitely is a perimeter dog. She likes to just do her thing during the day. She usually hides up in a brush pile, and then at night she does a lot of working. So she is spayed now. She has retired from making puppies, and she will just continue to guard goats and sheep around here and keep everyone safe and just do her deal. And of course, she's a big old ham. She's probably my biggest ham besides Remy with me, because Remy is very skittish with strangers. She will not let a stranger catch her. Bonnie, I'm pretty sure anyone could catch her if they really wanted to. The ham, she's a great dog. She would be a great farm dog candidate if she wasn't so good with the goats and sheep. So she is just all around a great one to have around. I don't have to worry about her when people come over. She's gonna greet them. She's gonna do exactly what she's doing here. She is through and through Bonnie. So yeah. Okay, we're gonna test this out. I'm here with our little Karakachens. That's an Anatolian cross. So this here is little Allie. She's our keeper. And this here is little Chief. Come here, Chief. So Chief here is going to new home. We're just having him for a little bit, getting him started. This is a perfect example of handling your puppies. You can see he is not stressed out, and I can hold him and mess with him, and he does not care one bit. So there's Chief. 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 Yeah, yeah, Chief. Yeah, yeah, Chief. He's going through an upward growth spurt right now. So is Allie. Allie, girl! But same thing with Allie. I can hold them anyway, and they love it. They're getting a little heavy, girlfriend. So that's Allie and Chief. All right, now we're gonna see if the microphone worked. I have it right here. Trying something new here at Bear Family Farms, catch our new merch. Have this little guy. We'll see if it worked or not. Cruising down the street in my 6'4". This here is Nellie. She is Bonnie's daughter. You can definitely see that there's some Pyrenees influence on this when we actually used a Anatolian male, but with Bonnie having a little Pyrenees in her, she came out all white, and there was some diversity in the genetics because one of her siblings looks like Bonnie, more so with a short coat though, and then we have this one with a medium coat, and then we have a slick white dog that also looks more like an Anatolian coat but white. So there was some different genetics in there. They all have different personalities. That just goes to show when you do crossbreed, you can get a very big variety in your litter. So Nellie here is very outgoing. She is literally a stamp of her mother in a different color. Very sweet, very loving, very forgiving, like her mom. And then we have the Anatolian colored female, and she's a bit more shy. She's more like her father. He was a more shy male. Very sweet though. Personality is similar to Nellie's here. And then the male, very much like his father. Shy, wants to stay with his dog, will allow you to catch him, but he's not just going to come running up to you like per se Nellie and the other one would. And that just goes to show when you're crossbreeding or even in a purebred litter, personalities can range so much. And that's why it's so important to talk to breeders and talk to people that have these dogs and get to know what puppy fits your style. I personally like a more reserved dog, but I like them to be sweet, kind, and forgiving because these dogs can hold grudges. And so you want one that's going to forgive you whenever it's time to like get on to them and do things like that. And when they're more forgiving, I've found that they will kind of correct better. And they will, it's hard to say, they take correction in the sense that they don't want to do it again versus a dog that's a little more grudging and things like that. So I really like the forgiving dogs that, do that. I like the ones that do want to stay with stock and that are very, very bonded. Of course, it's important to have perimeter dogs. So that's why we kind of match up perimeter and herd dogs so much. So one can stay, one can go. And then when you run 3 to 4, you'll find that everyone takes a turn staying and some going. And you'll see some dogs, like when something's going on, they'll take off and they'll make someone stay behind. And then if that one takes off running, one of those dogs will correct that dog and make them go back. So it's a very interesting thing to watch them figure out their whole system. And when you put new dogs together, everyone's got to figure it out. Everyone gets their place in the pack kind of deal. And you're going to have dogs that don't like each other. And so I have found that mostly my Anatolians will be top of the pecking order, but with introducing the Crocketchins take the lead. They run it, they will not back down, and so that can be a problem in some cases. We've had nasty dog fights before. You know, just being honest, when you run 10 to 15 dogs, it definitely can hinder some things. You have some fights, you have some times when you have to doctor dogs from dog fights, and then you learn who to put who with and who just doesn't work well. It's just like when you're at work, working with people. Some people you just don't like, and then some people you love and you want to spend every day with. So the same thing goes for them, and we respect that. I mean, if I need them to work together, they'll usually work together. They might not like it, and they'll kind of go their separate ways and stay on certain parts of the pastures, depending how big it is. But and the food thing, there is a hierarchy. I get to eat first, you get to eat second. And that also needs to be talked about with your breeders and things like that you buy your puppies from. Ask how those parents are around food. Ask how they are in the pack mentality and things like that, because if you have a very dominant adult dog and you buy a very dominant puppy, you can have some really bad fights and death. So just keep that in mind with the guard dogs. Again, any breed is great, as long as it's coming from a livestock guardian dog breed. Do not buy anything that is not considered a livestock guardian dog. That's a great farm dog, like I was saying earlier. But for guarding your dog, guarding your goats and sheep and things like that, get one that is genetically proven to do the job at hand. I wouldn't buy a forklift for moving hay bales necessarily. So she's gonna go back to her thing, but I wouldn't buy a forklift to do, you know, things that I wouldn't necessarily want a forklift to do. And I'm gonna move you because we're gonna be on fire here soon, and we are. So we're gonna go to this shady spot, and we're gonna just talk for a second. There we go. Okay, so necessarily with the dogs, I enjoy them, but again, they are tools in this trade. They're to keep our animals safe, and they are an insurance policy. You wouldn't want to just throw your stock out into the wild and allow the coyotes, bobcats, cougars if you have them in your area, bears, wolves, all these things to just pick off your stock. So pick the dog that's right for you. Ask the questions that are important on what will fit your program. Ask the breeder, what's this puppy's personality like? And it's super, super important to pick what is right for you if you need a perimeter dog versus a herd dog. And you're going to be having this dog for up to 10 to 12 years of time. So you want to enjoy it. You want to be able to trust it. So that's really what it boils down to, is what you like, and just ask the questions. We're always happy to answer any questions about dogs or anything like that. I'll give you my opinion and take it with a grain of salt. What I do may not work for you, and that's okay. It doesn't hurt my feelings, and it shouldn't hurt yours. I found what works for us, and we stick to that. We've had success, but again, it may not work for you and your program and your farm, and that's just it. So thanks, guys. Right here I have my male Crocketchin with my female Crocketchin. I bought these two as a pair. Right now they are with my rams and my little pet herd. The rams are talking because they want me to feed them. But so as we see here, you can see that the male is quite a bit bigger than the female. So these guys originally come from Bulgaria. So they were imported in 2004 by Dr. Phil Sponneberg, and they've been doing really good with us. We bought these guys as an adult pair. So things to note about them: they do have a longer coat. Dip. So I've noticed that they'll shed off a little bit shorter in the summertime. As you can kind of see here, she's a little bit shorter. It's a thicker coat, but it is shorter. He has a little bit longer in the summer than she does, but in the wintertime they'll get a lot thicker of a coat. Something I've noticed about these guys is they never get out. I've never really had them want to get out, jump fences, dig, or anything like that. Of course, they'll dig holes to kind of keep themselves cooler. They like this spot right here. They'll dig kind of around here, just sift the sand up, get a cool spot. They like the water and things like that. So they are a newer breed to the U.S. with them being here in 2004. They're not super common here in Texas. We're starting to breed them and make them more available, but there's only a few breeders. You can find them on the Crockett Association and the breeders around, but they are newer. I really like them. They come in different colors. We've got a red girl as well, and so these are the 2 black and whites we have, and we will have a litter from them eventually, but they've been doing really good. I haven't had any problems with them doing anything with the stock or anything like that. As well as the first litter we got, we haven't had any issues of them not bonding, and I've had them with the llamas and the horses and the sheep and the goats and everything, so been really pleased with that. Again, the females are a little bit smaller, at least in our case. The male is a pretty good size. Right now he's in more of a running condition. He's been doing a lot of patrolling. Lucy here, she stays more with the herd while he does more of the patrolling. So he's a little bit more lean right now. When he is bulked up, he's definitely clear over 100 pounds. Lucy's a little thicker. She stays with the stock a bit more, but I will say I've noticed them, like if there's something going on, nothing goes past them. Even if someone's walking outside with me, if they know it's not just me, they're gonna let me know that there's someone else here, even if they're walking with me. They're not aggressive, and that means, like, I don't think they're gonna get after someone, but they're dang sure gonna let me know that someone is here. And if anything else goes on, like if something's in the woods over here, they 100% are barking and letting me know something is over there. And usually when they're barking, there is something. They don't just bark for no reason. Really like them. I really like how they look. I think they're really pretty dogs. Definitely will be continuing the trend of breeding them and keeping them on the farm. With guard dogs, it is totally a farm owner's preference on what dog they like. Any kind of dog in the guardian breeds can get the job done. It's just really what you like and what you want to look at your pasture and things like that. I've talked to a lot of people that have these kinds, this breed, and they haven't had as many issues of them wandering and getting out, and I've kind of found the same thing with that. Haven't had really issues of them leaving the property or testing fences or anything like that. When I first got them, it was just a matter of getting them broke to the electric fence on the single poly wire. It wasn't that they were disrespecting the fence, it's that they didn't know what it was. After getting shocked once, it was done, and now I can put them in pretty much anything. Don't have to worry about them necessarily getting out, digging under, climbing over, which is really nice because I know a lot of people struggle with that. And so I've been very, very happy with these guys, especially Dip here. I really like him. Lucy's good. She's a little bit more shy when it comes to people. Dip is more outgoing. He loves kids. He'll meet them at the fence. Of course, he's gonna bark at first, but once they're in here and I'm with them, very welcoming. Lucy can be slightly welcoming, but most times she'll just go to the back with the goats and the sheep and relax back there. She's not as, you know, affectionate or things like that, especially compared to my other female. My other female's significantly more affectionate towards people, which is fine by us because we do have, you know, people and children that come here, and we don't want to have a bite risk. That's something that's really important to me, that I don't want a liability with my dogs. So their job is to keep the predators away, and we don't really have human predators necessarily. Them barking at the fence line and looking kind of scary is just enough for us. We're not going to have people coming over here and trying to steal things necessarily or mess with our stock. They are enough deterrent just barking at the fence line that I'm not too worried about someone stealing anything or messing with the stock. And so a huge thing with them is, you know, we handle them from day one. The litter that was born, we've picked them up, we've messed with them, so that way they are accustomed to being handled, since we do a rotational grazing system and need them to be grabbable and movable. And if vet things arise, really need them to be movable and handleable. And so as you can see, Dip's a ham. Lucy, she likes people, she likes me. She definitely likes her owners more than strangers. So she's handleable, she moves, does what I need her to do. I don't expect her to come running up and greeting everyone like Dip, because just that's her personality. She's just a more shy, relaxed dog in that term versus him, where he's gonna come get in the mix of things. And that just kind of shows his personality. He wants to be a perimeter dog more so, and she wants to be a herd dog. And it works great together, and they work good as a team. If you guys have any questions about the Caucasians, please let me know, because I mean, I've really enjoyed them. I think they're gorgeous, and I really like how they work. Not over barkers, and really good about staying on where I put them, and staying to whatever group I put them. If they haven't been singly bonded to whichever group. So it's been really good, because I'm not sure if they really were around sheep that much before I got them, but now that they have been here and been with the sheep, it's been good. And you can see she is checking something out, and it's just one of the puppies walking by. Lucy's very attentive to everything around. She knows what's going on with her stock. Like one's getting a drink, she's making sure they're good. So really like this one, really like this breed. We'll continue with this one and see where it takes us. It's really just preference on what you like and what you don't like. It's so hard to talk about it. You know, some people are die hard on one breed or not. It's an individual dog thing. It really is. You really need to talk to a breeder, talk to who has their dogs, ask how they're running them, ask the vices, what things you've noticed in the mom and dad, because a lot of things are genetic. Of course, there's environmental factors on how the dogs are raised, but you really have to kind of go through how that producer's raising their dogs and what they're doing, if it's large pastures, small pastures, what kind of stock they've been exposed to, because some dogs will not bond with sheep or not bond with goats or whatever you're wanting them to do if they've been raised with a different kind of species. So you've got to set them up for success on your farm and what you're wanting. And that's the biggest deal, is whether or not you like a short-coated dog, long-coated dog, or anything, talk to the producer, see what the parents are like and how many problems they've had, or what it is, because every dog is going to require training. Every dog is going to need some kind of things. Of course, you can take a puppy and throw it out into the pasture, and it might work itself out, it might not. So it's a really big deal on like who you're getting your dogs from, and you can pay several $1,000s for a dog that has parents that are tested and do all these things and stuff like that, but that's still, that puppy might not be right for you. Just in like the service dog industry, one litter of 8, and there can be only 2 that actually truly make it to that point. It really depends on what you're needing from these dogs and what you're expecting. And of course, you can't expect too much. You have to set your expectations reasonably. And so with me, my expectations are, by a year, I expect you to be able to be put in with a pasture and really don't have any chasing tendencies. Of course, you know, things happen, weather gets nice, and they might kind of run around and get the stock worked up, but I don't want you putting mouth or feet on my stock. By a year old, that should be completely ceased to exist. And that's what I have bred for and picked out in puppies and in parents and things like that. I'm very hands-on with my dogs, very proud of my dogs. None of them are perfect. They all have their own pros and cons, just like people. No one's perfect. You know, I have a few that are a little more food aggressive than I would like when it comes to each other. But there is a hierarchy. These dogs do not have us like watching over them 24/7. You know, a week can go by and we don't really do much with them. They do their job, and that's what I'm expecting of you. Do your job, keep your goats safe and your sheep, and that's all I can ask. Don't get out, stay in the pasture I put you in, and play with each other. Do not play with the stock. That is really my expectations, because they are going to do their job. They are going to bark, and that is their biggest deterrent. They're gonna go pee on the fence lines and poop and do all these things to keep predators away. If it comes down to it, I expect you to eliminate threats if necessary, But most of the time, that's not gonna happen because most predators do not want to mess with a 90 to 100 pound dog, especially when there's 2 or 3 of them in a pasture, and we always have at least 2 dogs in a pasture. So that's the biggest deal, is set your expectations correctly. They are not machines. I cannot stress that enough. When people they call me and they're telling me about their dog and things like that, they are not machines. They are still dogs. They're still puppies. It takes a while for them to mature. You have to understand that, and you know, it's a big deal, you know. And if a dog washes, a dog washes. If he's not right for you or anything like that, I cannot have extremely aggressive dogs on my place. One, I have children that come here. I would not be able to live myself if I had a dog that I knew could hurt a child or hurt someone that I've invited over to my home. So my dogs are very handleable. They accept people when I bring them in. Okay, this dog right here is an Anatolian cross. She definitely has some Pyrenees in her, but she's heavier in the Anatolian, which is where she gets this slicker coat. Anatolians usually have a slick coat, and they're usually kind of a tan color with a black mask. So Remy here, she's obviously a runner type, is what I would call this kind of body style. She's a leaner dog. She can cover a lot of ground. So you can see these double dew claws back here. That is what a lot of people resemble Pyrenees from. She doesn't wander. She does really good. We've had a few hiccups with her raising her, but overall she's been a great dog for us. Very, very handleable, very sweet. She's one of my few dogs that I can go ahead and open a gate and she'll follow me anywhere I go. But me and Remy have a very special bond in the sense that Remy got bit by a rattlesnake about 5 times in one sitting. I found her half alive in a mud hole. She was trying to cool off. She was having heat stroke along with the venom from the rattlesnake. So I found her, threw her in the truck, took her to the vet. So she did live inside with me for a little bit while she was recovering. She ended up losing a lot of like muscle here when this all happened. She has scarring on one of her legs. Is it where is it? Oh no, it's this leg. So it'd be on this side. So you can see this spot with no hair. She had a huge pocket that ran from her chest all the way down. She was bit all over. Huge swelling, almost died. But so Remy and I have a very special bond. She lived in the house for it was over a month, and we're just doctoring her. She stayed in the bathtub on the bathroom floor. But so she's one of my favorites. She's got a special place. We went ahead and spayed her. She had a few litters for us, but after almost dying, we went ahead and spayed her. She's gonna retire here. She'll live her whole life here. But I will say Remy can slip through fences. She doesn't do it, but I have, like, if there's a specific gate, there's a gate that she can slip through, and she knows she can, but she won't when I put her in a pasture. Unless she sees me walking the fence line in the pasture adjacent to it, she'll slip through to come walk it with me, and then I'll take her back and she'll jump right through and stay where she's supposed to be. She doesn't get out unless she sees me, and that's usually just because me and her are extremely good friends. And so she'll come with me, but she'll stay where she's supposed to go. But with that being said, I think that's more of her Anatolian trait. My Anatolians, you know, we have bred for ones that do not test fences and things like that. But the Anatolians, they are more known to wandering, as well as the Pyrenees. I like her slick coat. We never have thistles or stickers in her. Obviously they're not gonna get stuck in this slick fur. She does blow her coat pretty heavy at the end of winter, and so you'll see a big thing of blowing coat. They get thicker in the winter for water resistance as well as the cold. And so yeah, that's Remy. So I love her, but there's been a few things raising her and training her that were a headache. She never was one to mess with the goats necessarily, but you know, there was times when she just had some puppy tendencies that we had to fix and work through. So this dog right here is half Caracachen, half Pyrenees. He's a little bit longer coated, as you see. He's a little bit more loud. He will bark a little more. He's still pretty young. He gets excitable. And so, but you can tell him to knock it off and he listens pretty dang good. He loves his goats. Very, very, very bonded to his goats. He also has, we really have not had issues of him getting out or anything like that. He's very respectful to gates. There's been times when the gate kind of got blown open or left open. He did not leave. He does really good with them. Very pleased with him, but he does have a little bit longer coat. Come here. Come here. Come here. Lay down. You can see here, this is the only negative to a little bit longer coat. They'll get some of these little burrs in there. He'll get a little matting here. He usually will pull these out, or I'll come out here and get them out. But usually we don't have too much of an issue. They pull out pretty easy, and it's from when he shed his coat. And so he'll get these little mats, and sometimes you gotta come and pull them out, cut them out, and just keep aware of that. That's why some people and some producers do not like these longer haired coats, because sometimes they do require some maintenance. They can cause hot spots and things like that. So yeah, so I don't mind them. I like the longer hair. I think they're prettier. But that is something to keep in mind if you're in very thick country with a lot of briar, a lot of stickers. It might be something that you have to put a little more time into. You can see he's slicked off on his main body and then his chaps, whereas Remy, she has a very short coat and nothing's gonna get in there. So that's the only thing, and why some producers would like these kind of dogs versus a longer haired dog. Remy, even though she is a female, she enjoys doing more of a perimeter thing. She does like running and doing that kind of things, but I have found her guarding fawns before. She's very maternal in that sense. She loves her goats, but she will definitely patrol a little more than per se this other male dog over here. So that would be Remy, and her breeding again was an Anatolian Pyrenees, heavier on the Anatolian, while the other dog is a Caracachin Pyrenees cross. We went ahead and did that to test out to see if we liked that, and I really did like that cross, but we have moved away from these crosses and we're going towards the purebred Caracachins. We have one female out of Bonnie, which we'll see here in a little bit. That may be a breeder, depends on how she does. So far so good, she's done great. And then we have a male out of Bonnie, so obviously those two cannot cross. This is going to be the cutest thing you ever did see. We have a sheep that is very, very bonded to the dogs. She loves the dogs, and she is going to run over here with Ruger. She follows the dogs around like it would be her herd, so she pretty much has guard dog duty all the time. So right now she's hanging out with Ruger. Sometimes she hangs out with Beth. So here she is. You can see she is not gonna let him get too far, and she actually doesn't really like me, but she's gonna get close to me because Ruger's over here. And so this right here would be another Pyrenees Anatolian cross. Compared to Remy, he's a little bit longer coated. You can see the little wispies on his ear and his tail. Again, we see the little burrs that get stuck in his tail. They pull out really easily. Definitely probably a more perimeter dog. Beth will stay a little more with him. Again, they take turns. These guys don't get out. Ruger has jumped a fence before. He jumped a fence when we take his goats away. So if you are moving goats and you do not grab him with his goats, he will jump a fence to follow, which I cannot blame him. He's bonded to them. That's what he's supposed to do. And so that's the only thing with Ruger. We have corrected that. We just don't take him away from the goats. And so with him, well, he was actually our first guardian dog. We're gonna mosey on to the shade over here. It's a little toasty in the sun. And so Ruger's our OG. He's our oldest in the terms of what we've raised. He has sired some litters. We have him neutered now. So he is just here to continue his job. Also one that will live and die with us. And so we can put him with absolutely anything. He has no problems. He does not bark much. If Ruger's barking, there's 100% something going on and you need to go check it out.